Hello everybody, my name is Richard Vigorelli and this is Vigorelli Institute. Before we get started today, let's take a look at this. Why yes, I am basically effective, says so right here. Now you can get this shirt on my website vimandvigorelli.com along with several other things, merchandise and books and more. Go ahead and check that out. Now on to today's topic. Now today it's a writer's topic, and this video is actually being inspired by a kid, 20-something, I want to say 21, 22, came into my writers group a couple of weeks ago. He's going to the local college here in Murfreesboro, and he is studying writing, okay? Wants to grow up to be a professional writer. Good for him. So, he asked me a question of what do we do when a character is in like a magic system, and that magic system is such that it has limits. He asked me what happens when we reach that limit, especially by the end of the story. I told him, well, that's the end of the story. It's over. It's done. Pack it up, bro. Okay. See, when you're dealing with magic, you hit a thing called power creep. Okay? Now, power creep is when a character is gaining power. Okay? But eventually he is going to surpass the power of his enemies, and instead of it being very, very difficult fight, it's more like boop, and it's done. Okay? You see this in like One Punch Man. Okay? We start off at the end of his training. The guy's already maxed out his abilities. Nothing more can be done. All he has to do basically is step aside, and in order to avoid any damage, and that's it. All he has to do is smack it once, game over. So, we first meet him at the end of his journey, but it's the beginning of ours, so he's bored now. Okay? And that's what happens with power creep. Now, if your character doesn't know this, then the audience gets bored. Okay? Like, yes, I get it. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And you run into stories that do not make any sense, that are dumb, that are pointless, because the only thing your character has to do is go, boop, and the problem's solved. Okay? Well, why do we still have Superman? Superman is basically the most powerful being in the DC universe. Okay? Why does he exist? I'll tell you. When you hit that power creep level, when you hit that maxed out level, and your character is essentially an omnipotent god, your stories go from punch, punch, punch to think, think, think. Okay? That, yes, they could just right in there, doing whatever it is they do, problem solved, but it's going to cost them something. Okay? The stories become a lot more about morality. They become a lot more about ethics. Okay? And the really interesting ones get into shades of that morality, such as both options are good and both options are bad, depending on how you look at it. Okay? Which you actually do see a lot in Superman. Okay? If whatever system and whatever universe you're building hits that level that your character cannot go beyond what it is, and it is impossible to add anything to it or to weaken them, then your story's done. Cut it, wrap it, sell it, you're done. Move on. But if you want to keep it going, then you A, have to have a breakthrough point, Okay? Which means you basically have to rewrite your universe. Or B, there has to be a solid reason why, when your character comes back in the next arc, they can't do the things they used to be able to do for some reason. It cannot be contrived. It must be logical, or your audience is going to go, that's dumb. Okay? Now we see this a lot in network television shows where we have superheroes or we have magic. The reason is some of the writers are only brought on for a specific season or a couple of specific episodes. So they establish lore within there, okay? And then they leave. New guys come on and they start working on their story. They either do not care about or do not know about the lore established previously. So then you get things like The Flash, where he's got powers that are in Season 1. He has abilities and knowledge that he has gained in Season 1. And by Season 3, what are you talking about, bro? I don't know how to do that. You just did it 3 months ago. What the hell? I did? Okay? You have to remember, your characters are only as smart as you, the writer. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to keep track of what they can do if you're using a magic system and you're trying to avoid power creep and its opposite, power lag. Okay? Power lag is where they lose an ability because reasons. They forget how to do something. Yeah. Okay? Well, people forget how to do stuff all the time. Yes, but you see, characters aren't real. Okay? And a smart person doesn't forget what they can do. Okay? I don't walk into work. I'm not going to walk into work on Thursday and have to look up what the spleen is. I already know that. I know how to fix it. Okay? In Chinese medicine, by the way, your spleen is your digestive system. FYI. It's also your ability to process information and relay information in an intelligent manner. Your heart is all about the language and the method of relaying that. Moving on, different video. So, what happens? The way you fix this is you have a thing called a show Bible or a story Bible. Bible! Relax. Okay? So what happens is you have a character. Okay? He is able to do a thing. Well, you write in there all of his information. Okay? You write in age. You write in demographic information, should that be relevant, and power description. Skill set. Okay? All of the other stuff that goes into that character's identity as is relevant to the story. Okay? I don't care if his favorite color is fuchsia, necessarily, unless that's important. Okay? If his favorite color is fuchsia, and that's integral to the story, then it needs to be in the character description. Okay? Now here's the thing. You don't have to tell me the character description. You need to show me the character description. Okay? So what the character description is going to do is it's going to give you boundaries as to where you can operate in your writing. A lot of people would say, but boundaries are stupid. That limits creativity. No, it doesn't. It actually fosters it. Otherwise, all I would have to do in order to finish any given story is, and it's done. Because, hey, there's no boundaries, right? All he has to do is snap his fingers, and everything's done. Okay? And then babble something because reasons. Okay? Boundaries within a character give us reason for the character to exist. Okay? These are very important, and you should not be able to go beyond those. Okay? See, for example, I quit watching Dragon Ball after he went past the first level of Super Saiyan. Okay, that'd be Goku. Okay, after he defeated Cell, because Cell was the worst thing to ever exist, what else is going to happen now? Oh, well, then we bring in Boo and Bippity and all those guys. And, well, that was the worst thing to ever exist. Now we got this thing and this thing, and this thing was going like, how big are we going to get? Okay, this is the worst thing to ever exist. How much more worse things are there going to be? When are we done? Okay, which brings me into another point. Okay, not only will your characters potentially experience power creep, but so will situations. Okay, you're going to hit if you don't rein it in, you're going to hit a point of the world is ending. Okay, great. My characters fix that. Oh, the world's ending again. Basically the exact same way. The characters are flummoxed. No. Again, you need boundaries. Okay? It's better storytelling. Okay? So, one of the things you do to avoid power creep is you keep situations scalable. Okay? You set an absolute max of powers. Okay? This is the greatest they can ever possibly be within this universe, basically without them becoming a god. Okay? That's my recommendation. And you need to scale the situations in order to meet that. Okay? My advice also is to not make every single event in your story capable of the character winning. Okay? If you're going to have a team up, have some of the characters help out. Okay? They have skills too. That makes it more interesting. You don't want your character to be the greatest thing ever. Other characters need to do stuff too. Okay? You also need to demonstrate that your character alone is not necessarily powerful. Okay? Especially if you're doing some kind of ensemble story. Okay? Where team-ups are going to be kind of a major thing. Alright? Otherwise, you're going to have to eliminate characters here and there in order to justify what's going to happen with your character, which is something that I am actually in the process of doing in my third novel, by the way. I just wrote it. I'm going to kick it around a little bit and see what happens. But I'm moving towards the resolution right now. Okay? So, let's go back a little bit. So, we got a thing called power creep, alright? You need limits in order to avoid this. You also have a thing called power lag, okay? To avoid power creep, once you hit the limit, you're done. That's why it's called a limit. To avoid power lag, if you are going to lose power in order to justify something happening in the next arc, then it needs to be logical and justifiable, or your character will come off as stupid, vapid, and you as a writer are still an idiot. Okay? Situations need to scale to your character's power. Not all situations have to be winnable, especially if the character is alone. Okay? If he's got friends, then that character has to have a justifiable skill set to help out your main character get through the situation. Okay? If you want to continue with a given character after they have maxed out in, say, one area, then the enemy or the force that's going to force them to grow in another way must impact that other facet of the character. For example, let's say that your character is a great and powerful warrior. No one can defeat them in a fight. And that is proven by the end of the first arc. Well, your story proves popular and you decide to continue it. So now he needs to fight an enemy that doesn't fight. This enemy uses words, politics, something that your character has a weakness against. By the way, your character needs a weakness. Okay? Weaknesses actually are a strength if you know how to use them correctly. Okay? Lots of Superman stuff that hinges on his allergy to kryptonite. A lot of stories hinge on his weakness to magic. Okay? A lot of Batman stories hinge on several of his blind spots with his family and social interactions. Okay? So, look at stuff like that. Okay? If you can use things like limits and other stuff like this effectively, you'll write a fantastic story. Okay? Even if it's just for one arc and it's basically a movie. Or a miniseries for that matter. Okay? Or a single novel. It'll be fine. Then you move on, you write something else. Okay? Also, it keeps you, the writer, from getting bored. Okay? That's why my series is only 3 books. I've got 2 lore books already written. I'm going to write a Chronicles eventually, and then I'm done with it. I will not pick up the pen ever again for that universe. If you guys want more, you have to write it. Okay? Getting too old. Too bad. Okay? So, it's about all I've got today. You take care. I will be back. Okay? Again, visit my website, Vim and Vigorelli. Shirts like this. Posters like this. And also, stuff like this. Go ahead and check that out. Okay? I will be back later. You take care. Bye-bye.